Hello, beautiful souls. If you have not already joined me on YouTube, join me today. I made this emailer into a video that I'd like to share with a larger audience, and also to save you the time of reading this long email. Just watch me read it here with all the theatrics and fun as we use humor to get through World War III. I was recently offered to have a radio show on a major spiritual radio network that has had all of my favorite top neuroscientists on it. How could I resist this offer? It's not like I don't want to take this offer. It's that we are in the midst of unprecedented times that are putting major delays and battles into the air. This new moon and energy has influenced me today to start a podcast called Pretty Prophetess. And I want to share in this email that this will be my first show. Stay tuned for more updates on where this podcast will be launched. And if you consider yourself a pretty prophetess, email me today and let's link up for some exciting conversations to share with the world. Let's break the stereotypes of what prophetess should look like. As I write my third monthly new moon emailer, I must say that I'm shocked with some of the predictions that I was called to share with you all over the past few months. The accuracy and the actual news is mind-blowing. From my Rothschild prediction, and if any of you don't know, when I read people, I have a symbol called Rothschild, which tells me the person I am reading is under what I'd call the Rothschild family spell. In other words, they have a chip. It keeps us in an illusion and keeps us buying. Remove the Rothschild chip today. Book an energy healing session and let's go. Back to my predictions that played out. On China, ET disclosures, drone activity, increased surveillance through technology, possible terrorist attacks, emerging illnesses, pandemics, in the fall of the Trumpist empire that we are slowly beginning to witness today. So what now, Jojo? Many may ask. We have to understand the difference between psychic predictions and prophecy. Both can be manipulated just as we have a free will future and a destiny charted future. This is a multi-universe, and that's a scientific fact. Psychic predictions come from us, our intelligence systems sensing. We all use our psychic intelligence to stay alive. Unfortunately, today, many associate the title psychic as a fortune teller. Womp, womp. I associate psychic ability with real brain power. Prophecy is usually given to people who are plugged in to source regarding collective or world events that are very, very likely to happen and play out. Real prophecy is not tied to a religious order or a dualistic mindset, but rather rooted in universal understanding and resonance, and tied to destiny-charted future that will play out. I want to mention that is why I tend to not psychically read people unless using my psychic ability for medical, intuitive, or remote viewing. With psychic ability, there is room for inaccuracy. I wish more people understood that psychics can be wrong and that that's okay. We're all human, And so many people idolize us, which I find sad. This means that they themselves don't understand that they are psychic too. We all are. The church has left many with the witch wound, and this has duality attached right to it, meaning that many have either the witch wound and are afraid to be their magical self, or they're wired to be on a witch hunt. Both keep them close to the divine acquisition, which is what they truly thirst for, which is spirit. If they catch a witch, in their minds, they have honor from the divine work in stopping the powerful ones that blasphemy, their religious orders and indoctrination. Keep reading, and I'll share an interesting story regarding this and my recent experiences with my clients' witch hunts, their motives as I sit back and watch remotely from my living room home office, psychically. Astrology is like prophecy in that it can provide us with a blueprint with archetypal energies and patterns that influence us all. Why? The Earth, human resonance, the recent solar flares, the stars, the sun, and the planetary shifts all influence our biology. They all influence water on Earth and within us, including the tides, as well as the animals and the plants too. We are all made of the same composition as Earth and the stars. We are all connected and influenced by all that is God. We literally have crystals within us. And if you've joined me on YouTube, TikTok, or Journey with Jojo, I speak often about how technology was really created and modeled by our human biology. Humans are, though, the stronger and more powerful technology within the universe. This is why the wars on Earth are not about money, but more so about repressing the human nature. Let's break down the month of January 2025 with some astrological and prophetic predictions, okay? Well, backtrack. The past 2 weeks is where I want to start. I will start by saying, get ready for a long and juicy read. This is not Jojo Empathic as Mama Bear, but Grizzly Bear. I will explain. This is the age of Aquarius, when my long, hard work and efforts begin to receive karmic payout in a good way. Astrology would say that for the humanitarian right now, beware of the trolls. The trolls I have been dealing with in my business are not new. Astrologically, Mars transiting through Pluto and Aquarius would explain this. It's been bizarre for me. In the past 4 months, I've had 2 paid appointments, no show with no responses. How odd is that, eh? I literally had a client book a reading with me under a fake name and number. As soon as we got on the call, she found out quickly that I work for the angels. It was like a truth spell played out quickly. When I got on the call, I called her by her real name and explained that the number she provided, I left a voicemail on. She called me back late to the reading from another number, and she just automatically began to dispel the truth within minutes on the call. She explained that she used a fake name Maggie Devine to be sure I wouldn't fish for her information online, and that she provided her son's phone number, which I find not true because it was a random female's voicemail. So the first 15 minutes of the reading, although she wanted to hear from her deceased father, I spoke on her ego and on her shadow. When clients come into genuine lightworker readings in a lie, you get schooled on how lies and manipulation cause pain and destruction. That was her biggest healing message that she could receive at that time from spirit. Oh, it didn't stop there. And it was before. I've mentioned before on my YouTube channel how I've had professional psychic spies that work in counterterrorism harass me publicly. For example, this lovely lady booked an email reading with me on Etsy and took a picture with her finger up and posted it on my reviews, claiming I was the reason that people don't trust psychics. I recently had an old client who almost caused my Etsy shop to have to close in 2023 by reporting me to Etsy because she so-called couldn't hear her reading on the phone and I wasn't able to provide a recording. Mind you, she had the nerve to go further out of her way to send me pictures of owls, which in mediumship universally can mean a warning, via Etsy messages as she proceeded to extort me to give her a refund. She got an hour of my time for free and got me in trouble with Etsy. So, then in 2024, the karmic bells rang out of nowhere. She came back and begged me for my help again. Mind you, she didn't stop with the threats and reports. She had left me a 1-star Etsy review trying to sabotage me publicly. I asked her to take it down after I was forced to give her a refund, and she refused. As Pluto entered Aquarius, she came back recently and randomly and left me a positive 5-star Google review claiming she's been around the block now. And I, Jojo Empathic, may just be one of the best psychics out there. Oh, thank you. Thank you for all of it. Let's continue with the circus. Not to mention in 2022, when the swarm of Trump psychic covens that came in groups for readings. Didn't you know Trump came out publicly claiming he was a best psychic? Stormy Daniels begs to differ. This has led me to the decision to send automatic email replies in response to new client email inquiries starting in 2025 now. People will ignore the rules and requests that I ask and share on my website. I have requests because of the laws of the light, whom I work for. There are universal laws that I must abide by in order to connect with the light in the capacity that I do. So I ask for no background information, no pictures, or date of birth for an authentic read from the light. This includes if I fish, it's not genuine and the light doesn't show up for me. So I would never risk that for somebody just to look accurate. This is how I practice discernment of who I am talking to. Many, even old school psychics today, have no idea who or where they're getting their information from. And a lot of times it's just psychic coming from them. Lightwork is a skill that is tuned to the laws of the light. And I have been trained through a patent method. I was taught light work by one of the world's top prophets, psychics, and medium. She's a psychic medium prophet. I clearly ask for little to no background information before readings, yet many ignore this in logic and ego, left brain, and will email me and spill all of their information to me, and then not even book. Do you get to talk to the doctor or the therapist or any other professional before you pay? Not often. But there's little respect for the psychic healer today. That, or they explain all of this paranormal activity in their lives. Things flying off the walls, scratch marks, knocking, and then not even book. Bringing me right into it, right into their energy. That, or they will try to people please with all the smiley faces in the email and explain to me how they referred their besties to me too. Although they've never worked with me a day in their lives before. And then never book. They also love to write in with all of their health problems, as if I'm a doctor or need to know. And then don't book. Many people that write in before readings that I have never worked with before end up manipulating the readings. I will cancel readings if I notice someone is repetitively trying to correct me before we get into the actual session. These individuals are known as blockers, and they will be very hard to read and always find blame in the reader rather than the truth is that they have cut the light off, the truth off in their lives, and that's who I work for and get my information from. So it's a dry read, and they think it's me. The reality is like I'm reading someone who's invisible, and that is not good. It is not good to want a reading yet block the flow. That is a personal problem. I have read for professional psychics with ease and grace, like I do for most of my clients and repeat clients. Why? Because they are genuine and come in with open hearts instead of control. The session is yours, not mine. And if I have someone in front of me just trying to catch a fraud, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to pick right back up and keep going. It only hurts themselves. Blockers can't wait to respond to emails and let me know that I'm wrong or made a mistake already through our limited conversation where I'm intentionally blocking their energy to wait for the actual reading. Payment, please. Your energy's showing. For example, a lady I had last September, she texted me first to ask to have a conversation with me before she booked a 2-person group reading. I gave her an automatic response, and of course, she was quick to respond with that those aren't the reasons why we want to come in for a reading. Energy vampires love to correct psychics and go on witch hunts. They feed off it. They need our help desperately, but must try to keep some form of control over the situation. What it is logic and ego. Intuitive readings defy both logic and ego, and people can't really believe this until they experience it for themselves with a genuine light worker or mystic. People that are overly logical like to write into psychics to test them out and to try to catch a fraud before they book a session. People like to email me and judge my response based on their logic and ego, and it ends up biting them in the butt. Then they go share with their friends and they swarm in like flies. Sometimes I literally will be bombarded with real life flies out of nowhere. Always a sign, not a good one. Hashtag negative witchcraft by an individual who doesn't know they're a witch by nature. Now, this always backfires on them and they end up missing out on a genuine healing session that could have transformed their whole lives for the better. They honestly don't really know what it looks like to discern a genuine healer. They're looking for somebody in a robe and that's so perfect and holy and da da da. I can't blame people because they simply do not know better with all of the misinformation and agendas out there. That this may be what one of the most powerful healers that you are led to looks like, acts like, is like. This is what an anointed person looks like. So honestly, it's my job to be compassionate and teach the truth regarding this. So I will be discussing and teaching on this subject on YouTube this year to help us all. Leading me to my return to in-person sessions. This is not sitting well with me at this time, especially given that Mars, the planet of war, will still be retrograde until February 23rd. And the state of the world, Texas being Republican, when I sit with spirit regarding my options to move forward, the thoughts of having to put up security cameras in my office is very much so not like me. I have to be honest that I also have clients, men, that stalk me. Truth spell time. I had a male client back in 2023 email me a 6-page letter detailing how he secretly took screenshots of my photos from my website and Etsy and anything else he could get his hands on and made them his screensaver on his phone to look at every day to try to manifest me as his wife. It didn't stop there. He proceeds to share in that email that he sent my information to a famous occultist in New Jersey, where he explained to her his intentions with me in request for a love reading to see if I am the one for him. He was so sure I was the one because on his vacation, he claimed in the Bahamas, my photo that he had already on his phone magically appeared on his phone, screensaver, one day, just magically, and he took it as a sign. No. Said I'm an electric empath. It said I'm a powerful psychic. And if I see or sense that I'm in danger, I will fight back if necessary. And I can manipulate technology from my mind. How did I do that? Well, I was still in meditation one day and my birdies flew in. They told me that something was wrong, so I prayed that the truth be revealed and revealed quickly. That's how. I then sat back and again watched remotely, psychically, allowing the truth to fall into my lap. No trick, no trade secrets. Now, this man, this client, is not just some Joe Schmo, broken homeless. He's a retired detective. And in full well cognizance to understand that his detailed email to me about his obsession with me was very out of line, crossed boundaries, and was very simply just extremely scary. So yes, I get attention from the higher ups in the government. No, I will never work for the government. Why? Because the government is not really for the people. If the government was for the people, we would have affordable housing, food, and health care, which seems very out of reach for them to make happen right now with the binds of corporate greed, control, and profit, mind you. Those good things like affordable housing, food, and healthcare exist in other systems around the world. Pluto and Aquarius says perhaps we will see change to this within the next decade, not without a fight. But to get to that light at the end of the tunnel, unfortunately, we, the people, will have to continue to speak up and speak out about truths and demand change. It's uncomfortable. For example, with the recent shooting in New York City of the insurance company mogul, has people clapping. Now, that is so unfortunate. Not to say that insurance companies are not greedy and work to keep people poor and sick, and that karma does exist. I'm saying that by working with me, especially on a journey with JoJo, I will help you to speak out in the truth without physically doing harm to others. Because we need you. And we need to acknowledge that change must occur for peace and to limit suffering of the working and lower income class. The forgotten. I stand for the forgotten ones. I am the forgotten one. In September, I had a client cross boundary and touch me. I've been asking myself, Jordan, do you really want to go back in person sessions right meow? Soul fragmentation has been screaming my name. In the Journey with JoJo group chat, I have shared how much significant shadow work I've been doing on myself lately. And I'll tell you, I am very proud of the inner shifts from fear to truth that I have recently made. I may charge a higher in-person fee given the times, or just pack up and work remotely. I was shocked at the prophecy I received back in November that if Trump truly gets into office, that they will try to criminalize those in the healing arts field. And that we healers may have to go underground. Not so far-fetched. When I saw Putin's recent speech in December 2024, where he was asked about the concern for the multi-billion-dollar psychic industry that people are now seeking more of than they seek doctors, all tied to the concern about an increase to access to porn. Don't you love that? Your favorite healer that helped you clear your home, your kids, your pets, heal illnesses and pain from your body, categorize with porn stars. Throw us a bone. Throw me a bone. Virtual sessions really are just as powerful, if not more comfortable than in person, which is important. We all need to be relaxed for there to be flow. I just love people though. I love meeting with people in person. The human decisions. God is saying, Jordan, I've made ways for you. Now it's time for you to make moves. What else is making this a tough decision for me? I will share with you now what I'm seeing regarding the state of America and the world to come. I'm sure we all feel it. Astrologically, the month of January 2025 screams cosmic alignment. The nodes of faith move through Pisces and Virgo, refreshing an old cycle like it did last time about 18 years ago. So I want you to think back to about 18 years ago, what shifts were happening in your life then, and you may be able to predict similar cycles changing now. This first week in January will be very tricky, mainly because from January 1st to the 5th, Mars is opposite Pluto, which is historically a dark transit that brings terrorism. We may see more 9/11 like news or martial law news being played out this week. I want to acknowledge the terrorist attack we see in New Orleans now, but there may be more news to come to light as we speak right now. I want to say last fall, so this is still in 2024, a few months ago, I wrote down terrorist attack when I asked Spirit what was about to happen. It's given the date to be of significance, December 22nd, 2024. When asking Spirit what was about to happen, I also saw or wrote Chicago and was very surprised to hear Atlanta. What we witnessed in New York City recently, in regards to the late Robert Brooks, in my opinion, was a direct act of terrorism plotted by the white supremacist tied to the Trumpists or MAGA organization. This was a direct act of terror to signal to all Black people, specifically Black men, we are in control now. We do not care who sees, and we will get away with it. More to come. This seems to be one of the biggest threats of terrorism out there that I see within America. Trumpist and his friends in high places, his cult following. By the way, who's JD Vance? Is that Musk's assistant? I also believe that what we're seeing in the sky is tied to China and Iran. Spying and surveillancing us, they're on our grounds now. On my walk last Sunday, and they've been here, sorry. On my walk last Sunday, Spirit said, look up. So I looked up and I saw two parallel lines of red and white, what I would describe as blinking balloons in Frisco, Texas. I was called to switch cell phone providers last summer. I went from 2 phones to 1. And to share prophecy recently regarding increased drone and technology interference activity, which I detailed in my YouTube video on the 2024 US elections. I also have been sleeping with my Wi-Fi unplugged and phone off lately. As a sensitive being, radiation is very real, and that helps. Remember that technology can almost like hear your thoughts, which is where we get those out of nowhere ads that resonate deeply with us and algorithms based off what you were just privately thinking. Because technology, remember, is mimicked off of the human brain, the body, the telepathic human psychic conscious. I'm predicting we're at the stage of prophecy where I was seeing or dreaming. This was in November 2024, electricity outages. And in the midst of natural disasters or increased crazy weather events, it happens simultaneously. I'm not going to mention it's time to not live on the coast anymore because I've exaggerated that message over the past few years. I predict now there will be more staged cyber attacks to either banks or something tied to financial institutions to push us into digitalized currency. We may see this into the spring. I think it's gonna be a cold winter, at least for us on this side of the globe. I first started to speak up on planes falling from the sky about 3 months before the first quarantine back in 2019, before the actual pandemic. I've shared this story on YouTube. At the time, I was just becoming okay with the fact that I may just be very psychic and prophetic. Maybe. And if you didn't know, I'm a car girl. I was previously selling cars and I had taken a picture in a client's orange McLaren. 2 months later, it made news in Buffalo, New York, that he had tragically died in a plane crash. When I read that news, it spoke to me deeply. I could just see, I had this knowing in my being that this was only the beginning of what would be many planes falling from the sky. People thought I was so negative. They say, oh, you have this light, but that's negative. People thought I was crazy. I kid you not. I have had very little, limited to no involvement with airports since I received this download of truth that we unfortunately are seeing play out right before our eyes, that has been playing out before our eyes and now around the world. I had recently began to see dreams of fires and ended up being led to moving to Camarillo, California. And I was trapped in bumper to bumper traffic while the mountains around me were blazed on fire, where we experienced the start of horrific fires to come that they had not experienced for many, many years. Simultaneously, I was hit with earthquake dreams, which led me to packing my bags and moving to New York. Sure enough, a minor earthquake hit my old apartment right after I left. I will dream about prophecy and then be led right into the storm and then led to share stories about it. Just as I am with you today in this long, heartfelt message. It's all on purpose. This message is authentic and will reach those who need it to reach. When I saw floods while living in Garland, Texas in 2021, I said, there is no way Dallas could flood. And voila. Dating a guy in Fort Worth in 2022, and I had to pull over for an hour as the streets flooded for the first time in years. And I had witnessed a flood that was this serious. I've never witnessed a flood like this. But I was prepared because almost 1 year to the date prior, 1 year prior to the date, I had a dream that I would get caught in a flood, and God spoke to me saying, there is another way, you will be okay. I want to ask you, are you seeing floods, fires, and wars in your dream? And are you struggling to discern if this is your subconscious speaking to you or prophecy? I can help you. Work with me. Being prophetic right now during these times is extremely difficult. And usually true prophets are cast away from their family and homeland after giving messages of warning. And this releases us from the constant emotional and psychological hardship we face in not being heard and received by our loved ones. Loved ones who cannot see, or I would call it refuse to see. We all have a pineal gland and we all have a heart, and it's our choice to use them in alignment. I'm predicting now that we will have exposure of election fraud, which will lead to an uproar and chaos at the zoo. I believe that a separate party or organization, not the Republicans, not the Democrats, I'm neither, will come in, step in, and try to prevent him from going into office, which may hit ahead around January 6th. I predict more tension between Trump and Musk that leads to their own self-undoing. Womp, womp. It'll be a fight either way. They allow him to proceed. There may be a delay for him, Trump, to get into office, but if he does move forward, I predict that if anything he claims to do, the attempt of mass deportation is where he will start. This will directly influence our human rights, privacy, and will be rooted in racial discrimination. It may look like some sort of going door to door checks by the military if Trump is not stopped soon. An immigrant nation. Expect travel bans and restrictions. This is all leading to digitalized ID. What Musk is trying to do by targeting preschools with his fantastic schools and academies for the young and privileged. Texans are ready. They're ready. Send them off on the bus. They're ready to send them. They're kids. This will eventually lead to the push to chip children. The goal of evil is not money, dear one. It's to dehumanize the divine human being. Bring us into technology, our bodies, our biology, and then we lose our divinity. Medications and technology will run man instead of the other way around. And that is their goal. Like colonization, to strip man from his spirit. A cold, poisonous agenda that has always been there and that many Americans today want to make America again. Either way, astrology says starting on January 21st to 22nd, with Mars in Cancer, sextile to Uranus with the Sun in Aquarius conjunct Pluto. Knock on wood, we may see the death of a world leader. Astrological events influence before and after the actual transits, as we have seen with the recent late Jimmy Carter passing. We may soon see, as The Simpsons predicted, the beloved Orange Man fall from his throne. So where is all the goodness in this? Where's all that sweet stuff? Well, let's be real. As we are all feeling the spikes in the Schumann resonance right now and solar flares keeping us up at night, things don't feel good. And they're not visibly very good right now. We have to own that. We have to ride this wave. The dualistic mind always works to try to stop the pain and the suffering. Just make it stop. But the mesoteric mind understands that pain and suffering leads to some of the greatest success. You can basically predict a turnaround starting in the spring of 2025, but a real positive turnaround after 2030. By then, everyone who is still reading this email at this point will have fought to the stake to usher in the new earth with peace for all. How we are living was designed to fail, so we must not be surprised at the upheaval. Sweet stuff time. My late Mimi, my beloved grandmother, used to call me that. She used to call me sweet stuff. Mid-month in January, Venus will be exalted in Pisces, which tends to bring us positive news, shifts, and realities. Ultimately, we are shifting into the nodes of fate. So by mid-month, we should receive some sort of positive ahas and hoorays. Long-awaited sweet stuff, like financial and love story sweet stuff. And it's about time. All of that it's about time news will begin to show up for you, and you have earned it. Around January 14th, it feels like our dreams are finally starting to come true. Don't ask me how, just enjoy it. You've earned it. We deserve it after this circus. We, the people, do not really want the circus. I don't want SeaWorld. I won't be taking my kids to the zoo. We all want peace, not just for us, for the planet, for the animals too. It's like we were born into this chaotic paradigm that we all have fought so hard to shift for the best. But now, this, dear one, is the time we have incarnated for. This is the time when the true at heart will begin to receive their destined payouts from the universe. And this will be tied to lasting positive change all throughout the Pluto into Aquarius, lasting into 2043. Whoosh. Deep breaths out. Being awakened is very real. It's very raw. And at most times it's uncomfortable. I want you to master being uncomfortable. Master not knowing and yet still pressing forward. Master speaking up even if you may not always be perfect or right. Master walking in truth. The times call for it. Master being yourself. Master your mind. The liars and cheats will soon be exposed. I predict the war in Gaza to end this year. I predict humanitarian increased efforts in Sudan and Ukraine this year. I do not see nuclear war as much as I see another pandemic, terrorist attacks, lockdowns, outages, and cyber attacks leading to what I've previously detailed. If and when there is a chance for the nuclear warfare buttons to be hit, this is when, by law and sacred agreements, that the good ETs, our brothers and sisters of the cosmos, can and will step in to help us all out. So I'm predicting what we're going to see I guess this might contradict what I just said. We might see more ET disclosure sometime next fall. So the people will be ready for the truth then, especially after what we all witnessed to happen this coming year. Last note, sweet stuff. January 18th to the 20th, Venus conjuncts Saturn in Pisces, sextile Mercury in Sagittarius. This is a very positive transit. Deep breath. Out. Why? Because it symbolizes world peace. January will be a month about homeland security in America. And again, mid-month, the good things will begin to play out after the storm. The end of the month, the planets are shifting more and more and more into our favor of peace, world peace. Beautiful souls, hang in there. You've come to Earth for these times, so ask yourself, what is the positive in all of this? How can I walk in my truth through this? What has all of this negativity done for me in my life individually in a positive light? How am I going to quantum shift onto higher grounds during these fated transitions into power? How are the power plays within my life influencing my body, my mind, and spirit and reality? Healing is a lot about understanding personal power on your personal energetics and how this plays outwardly with the energetics of your environment. So stay tuned and join me again on YouTube. I'll be releasing more videos this month on medical intuition and self-healing. After I release this current video that I'm editing now on healing the divine masculine, followed by a video on how to not hate the holidays and overcome the holiday blues. I want you to love more. I want to love more. I want to talk more about the chakra systems and how we move energy through our body for healing and balance. So that's where I'm at. Join me for a journey with JoJo and level up your ancient language with spirit through discernment understanding. Join me in my community in sharing prophecy and energetic updates. You're not alone, and thank you for staying tuned. Light beams.